Okay, so this is the last video for this game. I think we're going to call it. And the reason is the Axis hasn't officially won the game yet, but I think at this point it really is only a matter of time. The fall of Moscow, I think, is probably unrecoverable. Now, obviously, on the Atlantic side of the board, the Axis need 8 victory cities. They have 7. They will probably very soon have 8, and possibly even 9 relatively shortly, simply because, you know, over here in Stalingrad, they're knocking at the door. And I mean, you know, obviously the guys from Caucasus could go in there and hold it for a little bit, but it wouldn't last very long. And then obviously as well, Egypt is not really sustainable. I don't think the Italians can take it back this turn, but they can certainly take it back next turn. In the Pacific, basically Japan is in really, really good shape. They still have to deal with this American Navy here, but it's a bit of a stalemate because they can just keep putting up blockers and delaying and delaying and delaying. And of course, in the South Pacific, yeah, they're running into some issues with the Aussies and convoys and things like that. And of course, the Aussies have come up to challenge them a little bit. But you know, basically, they're in very, very good shape in the South Pacific. And now that the English are going to start to feel the pinch a little bit, they're going to be able to basically, you know, I don't think they'll win the game on this side of the board, but they can certainly make it so that the Germans will win the game on the other side of the board. There's a number of, I think, mistakes that that the Allies made in this particular game. Probably the Americans. They really didn't do what they needed to do in Spain. I think one of the key problems was the naval attack on C-Zone up here, whichever this one is, 112, where they tried to take out the German Navy and were completely unsuccessful in doing so. That was probably a major mistake. There were better ways to use those resources. And again, I think they let their position in Spain slip away. I think basically every time that the Allies tried to do something positive, like turning Spain or turning Turkey or something like that, the Axis ended up turning it against them. And so I just don't think that the Allies are recoverable at this point. So we'll give the win this time to the Axis, and you know, I'll just sort of very slowly run the camera across the board so that you can sort of see the final positions. I mean, the Americans had a bunch of forces ready to come over, but again, I don't think it was enough maybe even to take Spain back. And of course, all of those transports would have been incredibly vulnerable in the situation that they were in. So again, as I said, it's an unsustainable situation for the Allies. So we'll look at the board over here in the Pacific. Actually, the Aussies were sort of holding their own here, but they you know, bit of a thorn in the Japanese side. But again, they really couldn't get anything going. And again, this American fleet here was fairly substantial and dangerous, but you know, it's all potential rather than actually doing anything, and that's I think that was the biggest problem. This is an unusual variant with the split economy for the Americans and the split economy for the British, you know, with the Canadians and the South Africans. So it probably does favor the Axis, if I'm being brutally honest. You know, even with the Axis split economy, with the minor Axis and the Finns, they can still work together and end up doing fairly well for themselves. So anyway, it was a fun game, and I enjoyed putting it all up on YouTube, and hope for the 2 or 3 people who actually watched it that you had a good time watching it too. So this is Sergeant Mercy signing off from the basement bar, and we'll see you maybe for game 7 in a few weeks. I'll see if I can get my friend Mr. to come back and play another game with me at some point. Okay, so thanks for watching. Ta-ta.